Hello everybody, I'm CK3, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Crusader Kings 2 and Crusader Kings 3 and how I think Crusader Kings 3 could get better. I've done some videos on this. I did the How to Make CK3 Even Better series, but there was an announcement yesterday about Tours and Tournaments, the new update coming to CK3, and some people are a little bit concerned at the rate of change from CK3, and I know this is a conversation that's gone on for a long time, but I wanted to stick my oar in because I have some thoughts and I like them, probably just because they're my thoughts. Plus it inspired me to make this cool frame thing, which I really like. It was good fun, but which is obviously from the CK2 loading screen. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about CK2, CK3, and what I would do if I was in charge of CK3, which obviously I'm not. And I want to clarify it before we start by saying the people that make CK3, they're obviously talented. Much more talented than I in terms of game development, and you know, they have a plan and the game is good. I think CK3 is a good game. I think it's getting better. I think the mods for it are really good, but I think it could be even better, and I'm going to say various, you know, relatively harsh things in this video, but I don't want them to detract from the fact that I think it is a good game. And if you haven't checked it out yet, you really should, because it's pretty good fun. So without further ado, let's talk about CK2 and CK3. So here's CK2, CK3, and here's CK2. And one of the things that I immediately notice is that the UI is better in CK3. It's so much prettier in CK2. And the outliner is so much more compact, but anyway, we're not here to talk about general UI issues. What we're here to talk about is the fact that CK2 had a lot of DLC. And I am essentially going to argue that they should just put it in CK3. Many of you will disagree. Some of you will agree. Some of you will be neutral. Hear me out. Basically, there's a lot of stuff in CK2 that's just good. Some stuff's bad, some stuff's mid, some stuff's good, and there's some stuff that's just popular and good in CK2, essentially. And in my opinion, they should put it in CK3. Now, this might not seem like a particularly controversial opinion, put the good stuff in the new game to make the new game good, but there are angles, there are considerations to be made. So for example, some people don't like societies. They think they're just, who was it? It was, one proud Bavarian told me today they're just cookie clicker societies was the phrase he used. They're just kind of, just clicking through events, not much to them. And to a certain extent, I think he's right. I think that's true. You know, the society system in CK2 is not perfect. But here is my fundamental case. It's better than the society system in CK3, because there isn't one. And there probably won't be. Not for years at the rate that they're currently developing content. We've had, what, 2 DLCs? 3 if you count Iberia? But like 2 actual global DLCs in 3 years? Which is, I mean, kind of insane. the rate of development going on there. Now, development takes time, even if you're implementing something that's already been done. But take it from a product manager, it takes a lot less time to implement something that's already been designed, I assure you. So the claim I'm making is essentially there should be 2 teams working on CK3. They've got 2 on Stellaris, really good idea, and I think they can have 2 teams working on CK3. First team, as it currently exists, making new DLC and new content. Cool, let them carry on at that. Ideally, have them speed up, but again, they're very talented. I don't understand why content is being made for CK3 at what I personally perceive to be a slow pace, but I have no inside knowledge about how that development process works, how difficult it is to develop CK3, so I can't speak to whether or not it's actually slow. It just seems slow. But anyway, let them press on. New team, get stuff from CK2, already designed, already play tested, already good, already known to be popular, if you pick, you know, the popular mechanics, and then implement that in CK3 as patches, free patches. I personally am very lucky in life. I have some disposable income. I would buy all of the CK2 DLCs again in CK3, except what's it called? Sunset Invasion. Don't do Sunset Invasion, obviously. But I personally would buy all of them at full price again in CK3. And maybe that makes me a Paradox shill or someone that will be eaten when the revolution comes or whatever. But that's my perspective. I recognize many of you watching and many people in the CK3 community would not do that. Fair enough. Fair enough. I think, personally, it would be really good for the life of CK3 and for its popularity and for the kind of active development to have these patches coming out every, you know, I don't know, I'm just going to throw out a number, but this number is not based on anything in particular. Every kind of 4 months or 5 months, you had alongside, maybe partly, sometimes alongside DLCs from the main team, sometimes just on their own, you had a new CK2 feature that's been fleshed out, that's been designed, that's been tested, that's proven to be popular, that's proven to work well in this kind of game, added in to CK3. So Societies is a classic example. This is not fundamentally a very complicated system. You could spend a year and a half of CK3's dev time to implement something like this in a full DLC. That is apparently how long it takes to develop a mainline DLC for CK3. Obviously, some time is spent patching, some time is spent doing other things, but in general, that's the kind of cadence we're working with. For God's sake, don't do that. That's insane. Right? That would be a waste of time. And games have a certain lifespan. Many games last forever. You know, I've been playing Morrowind recently. It's a very old game. But most games don't last forever, and most of the player base does not last forever. So there is a time limit. There is a time limit. Every day that goes by that CK3 doesn't add in some feature or other, there is someone that will never play CK3 again. And that's a shame. That's a shame. So I think, ideally, just port it in more or less as it is. Now, I'm not claiming this is a copy-paste. It's a different engine, or at least a new iteration. I don't understand how Paradox engines work. I make no claim to understand how Paradox engines work, but you know, it's definitely not as simple as just copy pasting in what's been done for the work for CK2 to CK3, and the coder work would still be intense, don't get me wrong, but the design work has been done. The feature was popular and fun. People liked it. People memed it up to no end back in the Facebook CK group days. I remember all kinds of people, and you know, people regrowing penises and Lucifer's Own. It was hilarious. Maybe don't put Lucifer's Own in because they want to go with no mysticism, but you could do Lucifer's Own, just cut some of the mystic events and make it more about just scheming and things. But stuff like the Benedictine Order, the Hermetic Society, some of these events have been implemented into lifestyles, but there's no reason this couldn't add to it. And the kind of interactions with being next in line and stuff, it was fun. And the bonuses from different ranks, it was fun. It was just fun. And there are those that will say, and I know this because I was talking to one Proud Bavarian today, there are those that will say it's better to not have the feature than to have the feature poorly implemented. And I do agree with that. But I think a lot of the CK2 DLC was not poorly implemented. It was good. Some of it was bad, obviously. Some of it was mid, some of it was good. Just bring over the good stuff. How do you know what the good stuff is? Polls. Run polls. Ask the community. Get people engaged. Have people vote on what DLC they want to have features coming out of next. Then list the top 10 features in that DLC. Have them vote on which ones they really liked, which ones they didn't like. You can get, you know, this information is available to the CK team. Now, I don't know. I have no idea, and I'm not going to guess how expensive it would be to run this second team of a couple of developers who are, well, kind of, you know, one product owner and a couple of developers who are working on picking what to bring over and then bringing it over. I have no idea. So I'm not claiming this is a financially sound decision. Paradox has access to their financials, and I'm sure is making better financial decisions than I could make in my ivory tower, no idea of the situation. But what I want to argue is that there is stuff in CK2 that is worth bringing over. So let me just bring over this first off. So I have a joke here. This guy, it's the vision, right? The vision for Crusade, for tournaments and tours, the upcoming CK3 DLC. But you know what this guy can't do in that helmet? He can't see behind him. And what I'm arguing for is that we should look back. We should look back to the CK2 DLC. Flashbang out on the screen, by the way. Sorry about that. They should look back to the CK2 DLC. So let's do that. Let's go through each of the CK expansions and let's say what I think we should bring into CK3. Now, I'm going to apologize first. I have only played, well, let me check exactly. How much CK3 have I played? I've only played 200 hours of CK3 so far. I'll play more. I think it's a good game, as I've said. I was kind of waiting for the DLC and then like it was a year and a half wait and I was like, Jesus Christ. But anyway, so far, I've played quite a bit of CK3, but not a huge amount. So I may say, bring this feature over that already exists in CK3, and I can only apologize for that. But hopefully you won't think that too much detracts from my general point. So let's take a look. Sword of Islam brought over, yes, the greed versus nobility in the decadent system. Now, the decadent system is interesting, and I think this could be interesting to be applied, not exactly as it was in CK2, but I think this could be interesting to apply to all characters. I'd really like to see and all nations. I'd like to see a kind of decadence statistic where when your nation gets kind of too prosperous, corruption sets in and things like that. I think that would be fun. Polygamy, that does already exist, so that's fine, obviously. Yeah, so events. The CK3 team clearly loves events. I quite like events as well. What I don't like is seeing the same event, 4 or 5 times. Hello, Royal Court, where you press a button and you see one of like 9 events or something. So as soon as you pressed it 6 times, you're just getting duplicates every single time. Not fun. Don't do that again, please. But there are tons of events in CK2, just god almighty numbers. I should have checked some numbers, but just bring over the flavor events. There are so many flavor events in CK2, and modding events into CK3 is not that hard. I've done it. So adding these events in with the copy already written, the content is already written, the effects, you can just tweak over some values, that's fine. There might be some art, but you can make that needs to be made, that is. But there's art in CK3 that you can just use for CK2 events as well. It just works. You just pop up the characters. You don't have to do any new design for that. You just pop up the characters and have them with some kind of relevant backdrop. There are so many events that you could bring over from CK2 just to increase the number in CK3. Because events, when you've seen an event for the 5th time, it's not fun. It's just not fun. The thing about CK as a game is that you're telling the story of a dynasty, right? And if you're reading a story and you get to a certain page, and that page is the same as the last book you wrote, and the same as the book before that, and the same as the book before that, and the same as the book before that, that's no fun. So more events. Always, always, always more events. That's going to be really, really nice. I remember when CK3 launched, was it CK3 or am I thinking of Imperator? I think it was CK3. When they said there's X number of events, and that's twice as many as CK2 launched with. And that was thought to be a good thing. It's not. It's a terrible thing, because we weren't playing CK2 launch. We were playing CK2 with DLC. What CK3 is competing with, and this is a very personal opinion, I'm not saying this has to be true of everyone, but what CK3 is competing with is the end state of CK2. And right now it has a lot less events than the end state of CK2. So bring them over. Why not? Sure, dodge the ones that are supernatural, but those really didn't come until much later DLCs. Just bring over the events. I think that would be great. Right, the community commander traits they're in. Much of this is in, and it's worth acknowledging that, CK3 has a lot more in it than base CK2. Lots of this stuff did get ported over. Okay, so Sword of Islam. There was some, Legacy of Rome. There's some good stuff in here. Retinues. I'm pretty sure there's no retinue. No, there are. So there's men at arms which replaced retinues. So they're already in. There was also the self-improvement ambitions. Ambitions. There's no ambitions in CK3, right? I'm not losing it. I don't think there are ambitions. I know that you improve yourself through your lifestyle, but bring back ambitions. Ambitions was such a good way of telling the player what to do. Don't talk to me about this, by the way. I've done videos on it. I'm not going to talk about it again. This is, look, they're talented developers. They're talented developers. This is garbage. I hate it. But some people like it, and a lot of people find it useful. But I detest this. And when I say garbage, I mean in Count Christo's experience, it is garbage. I don't mean whoever made it should feel bad or whatever. I hate it. This is bad. Ambitions were good. Ambitions told you the things that you might be able to do. They told you, and they helped you get there. Really cool. Really, really cool system that I very much liked. To bring those back. It's possible there are ambitions in the game, and I'm just crazy, but I don't think they are. Anyway, anything else in here? Heads of Religion are cool. That is in. Factional stuff's in. Standing Armies is in. And the faction system is in. So most of this stuff did make it in. Okay, so Sunset Invasion. Just don't. Obviously not. No, forget that. The Republic. Okay, so this is obviously a bigger effort to implement. And there are those that will say, and I'm just, I'm partly taking this position just to be devil's advocate, but there are those that will say it should be like a proper expansion that adds republics into CK3. It should be a whole change and a whole new systems implemented that radically deviate from the way that they were in CK2. Respectfully, I disagree. Give me CK2 republics as they existed in CK2. Because CK3 right now, without CK2 republics, is a worse game. It is just strictly a worse game. Yes, it would be a better game if it had really cool Republic mechanics. And I look forward to 2028 when CK3 gets around to adding in proper, really fleshed out Republic mechanics. But you can just add CK2 Republics and then add CK3 Republic style, you know, more development time stuff later. Just do it later. You can do bringing over the CK stuff and then later updating it. You can see how Republics play in Crusader Kings 3 and then update it to a full fleshed out expansion later on with the new knowledge that's come from that first implementation. I would like to see it. I would like to see it. And trade posts are very cool. It's very sad. The trade routes in CK2, look, sure, they're fairly lackluster, right? All you do... How do you tag switch in CK? Is it just tag fat? Fat is not, no, tag. Is it really not tag? Hang on. Right, here we go. So the trade post system, this was fun. It gave you avenues for conquest. It gave unique flavor to particular parts of the map. It showed you, oh god, I love the CK2 UI, man. It's so nice. Anyway, it gave you a unique access to different sources of wealth. It gave you reasons to conquer particular places. It gave you new things to do in terms of buildings and developing your holdings. It was cool. Could it be better? Should it be implemented exactly? Could it be better? Yes. Should it be implemented exactly like this into CK3 until they have time to build something better and design something better? Yes. That is my claim. So... that's the Republic, that's traders and things like that. So, the old gods. Prepared invasions, you can still do these, I think. Are they in? I'm not certain. I think they're in. Obviously, a lot of this has been added in the Fury of the Northmen, like flavor pack for the Norse area. Looting and pillaging and stuff is good. It's less good than it was in CK2, so maybe just revert some systems to that. But yeah, it's good. And there's lots of stuff in here. There are lots of events that aren't in. Put the events in. Just put the events in. Pretty simple stuff to pull over from old gods. Obviously, a lot of it has already been done. Sons of Abraham. I think most of this is in, except obviously the. I'm pretty sure there's no College of Cardinals, right? Wrong game. There's no College of Cardinals in CK3 yet. Am I crazy? Is there a College of Cardinals? No, I don't think there is. I don't think there is. I should definitely know that. But why not? Why not, right? Put that in the game. It's so cool. It's such good fun being able to go as a Christian ruler and being able to mess around and try and get your family members in and stuff like that. It was really good fun to be able to... oh, that's Saints. That's another cool system. It's really cool to hop in here and try and angle your guys. And one of the ways you had to do it was trying to get like Italian culture, so you're closer to the papacy, and so you might want to breed like a subdomain of your family who are all Italians, and then you can keep them around in your dynasty, just acting as like emissaries to the Pope and stuff like that. It was really good fun. And yes, again, I'm only going to say it one more time, but could this system be better implemented? Of course it could. Of course it could. Could this system be worse implemented? Yes. You want me to show you how it could be worse implemented? Like this, by not existing. This is worse. It's strictly worse to not have the system than to have the good systems from CK2. Let's keep going, and I'm going to pick up the pace here because I think you get the idea. Most of this is in, to be fair. I think there's less events for the Jains, Hindus, Buddhists than there were in this, so bring over the events. But other than that, generally this was good. Is the caste system in? I'm not actually sure about that. And I'm not going to keep checking everything, but is the caste system in? This guy doesn't seem to have a caste trait. I don't think the caste system's in, but I could be totally wrong about that. I haven't played in India in CK3 yet. I wonder if they put new stuff there, a bunch of new events, probably, which would be fun. In Charlemagne, most of this stuff is there. Specific story events, chain series. No, forget those. Those are boring. Don't worry about that. But there's some cool events that were added in here. And yes, the Regency overhaul. I can't believe CK3 launched without a Regency stuff. It's crazy. But they're working on that, and they're getting some new Regency stuff in the next DLC. So that's going to be cool. I'm looking forward to that. Way of Life. They pretty much have this already. Many of the events aren't there, and they could just bring them over in addition to the events they already have. But most of this is there with the whole lifestyle system. Is very similar to the Way of Life or the focus system. So that's pretty much already there. Horse lords, nomadic rulers. This would be cool. So you can play as nomadic rulers in CK, like Kumenia and stuff. They don't have nearly the degree of complex horde mechanics that existed in CK2. So I'd love it if those came back. And yes, they had problems. They weren't great. Do polls. See which bits people liked. See which bit people didn't. Bring it back. And you might say bringing back only half of a system is bad, but I don't think so, because it's better than what we have now, which is not having the system, which is honestly just worse. Next up, we have Conclave. Yes, Conclave. Conclave was great. Conclave was amazing. So I used to run, back in like 2016, I used to run a bunch of the biggest Paradox Facebook groups. If you don't know, that's how I actually started. That's how I first got involved in community management, which is now my career. And the Conclave system was really interesting because first off, it was really unpopular. Everyone was like, oh God, I can't do anything. I can't change my laws. What do I do? Nothing works. And then little by little, people came round and then people loved it. I feel like, and obviously you can have a game rule just to turn any of these off. And that's something worth noting. Any of these systems I'm talking about, you don't like them, fine, add a game rule. Switch them off. No problem. That's all good. Many of these systems are entirely self-contained. So they don't impact on the kind of broader game in a way that having the game rule on and off is going to add too much trouble to testing. I think. Obviously, I'm not super knowledgeable about that, but I do. I mean, I've done a fair amount of QA testing in my time. But anyway, I think Conclave was really cool. It was really cool. I think most people played with it on by the end of CK's thing. The idea that you need to kind of finagle people to support you was fun. And the way that they handled it in Conclave was good. Jesus Christ, I just realized, I was just looking at this because I was like, don't factions, isn't there kind of conclave in there because your council has to agree when you want to change your laws? And then I opened up the realm tab and I was like, hang on, which tab are the laws in again? And then I was like, Jesus Christ, they cut laws. What are you doing? I'm flabbergasted by this because I completely forgot about that. They actually just cut laws. It's just crown authority and then 3 succession things. Like, well, 2 succession things. What? Put the laws back in. They were fun. They were granular. They let you create the nation that you wanted to build. And they replaced them to a certain extent with vassal contracts. Are you kidding me? I have to specifically manage each of my vassals rather than having this kind of sweeping realm stuff. You know, the easy solution? Do both. Just do both. That would be cool. There's loads of new mechanics you could put in around laws and stuff like that, and levels of religious tolerance, and there's so much cool stuff. There's so much cool stuff that exists in CK2. Just do it in CK3. It's not that easy, but it is that simple. Next up, Reaper's Due. This was cool. This was really cool. Court physicians do exist, of course, in CK3, but hospitals don't, as far as I know. Neither does prosperity and depopulation. This was really fun, especially because the art assets on the map were like really cool. The seclusion, you can do this, I think, when there's an event around this in terms of Black Death breaking out, because the Black Death does exist. But there was loads of cool little stuff in Reaper's Due that they should definitely bring in. I think they could definitely flesh out the court physician system more, and I think hospitals would be really cool. I don't think hospitals exist. And then on-map pandemics. On-map pandemics were really, really cool. And you could see them coming and you could be like, oh shit, the big red waves coming over from China. Those hamsters or whatever it is that they decided these days carried the ticks. Was it hamsters or guinea pigs or something? I feel like they decided it wasn't rats, but maybe I misheard. That would be cool. That'd be really cool. So just put it in the game. That's all I'm saying. Monks and Mystics, we talked about this a bit already. But yeah, monastic orders would be really cool. The whole sending people off to holy orders, I think exists to some extent in CK3, but that could definitely get some of the fleshing out stuff that it had from 2. I'd really like to see that. Yeah, joining the Hashashins, that was fun. Joining the Hashashins was fun, and I would like that. I'd like that. Jade Dragon, this was cool. Yeah, literally just add this. Period. Just add this to the game. Put the China system in. If you don't like it, fine. Game rule. Turn it on and off. It barely touches any other systems. Don't worry about it. Maybe don't add the what's it called? Like the mandate or something that could actually invade. If you don't want to add that, fine. I can see how that would affect loads of other systems. But the whole tributary, the whole different phases of the Empire's like life cycle, being able to have new casus belli and stuff like that, being able to interact with the Emperor and like pay homage, send your daughters off to go and be concubines in the court, things like that, getting Unix over with like cool stats and stuff like that. This was fun. This was fun. Just put it in the game. And finally, of course, Holy Fury, one of the best DLCs that Paradox has ever released. It was extremely good. Much of this is in the game, but where are the Warrior Lodges? Warrior Lodges were so cool. Put those in the game. Coronations, I think there is a coronation system to some extent in CK3, but there are some events I'd like to see come over. And then Sainthood. Does Sainthood exist in CK3? I don't remember. I don't think it does. I could be wrong. Hang on. Nope, that's not in the game. Why not? Put Sainthood in the game. That was so cool. And giving like a renown boost to your dynasty because it contains saints gave you a reason to roleplay. And it's exactly the kind of story-based stuff that it really thrives on. It really thrives on. That was really, really cool. And there's a lot of Crusade events rather that could be added in as well that would flesh it out there, which would be cool. So that fundamentally are the things that I think they should bring over. There are more things for sure. One of them is music. The CK2 music rules. The CK3 music never plays because they set up this really cool dynamic music system which plays songs when they're relevant. And the problem with that is that almost always none of the songs are relevant, so it just doesn't play the music. So fix the music player and the weighting of when songs should be played. And secondly, there's so much music that was made. And obviously all of this is super easy to toggle on and off in the launcher. There was so much music that was made for CK2 and it's so beautiful. It's such good music. Put it in the game. Bring it over. This is a super easy way to get a load of brownie points with the community. Just bring it over free. Bring it over as a free edition. We're going to add a ton of new music to the game. What's it going to cost Paradox? Nothing. There might be licensing issues with some of it, so obviously don't necessarily bring that over or indeed charge for it if you need to rebuy licenses for a different game or whatever. But much of this is, it's custom written for Paradox, and it's so beautiful, and I miss it. So I want to address two potential objections to this video that I can think of, and I'll probably think of more while I'm talking about them. Loving that CK soundtrack, by the way. Can you hear it? I've turned it up quite loud. It's just playing the normal background music because it doesn't think anything interesting is happening right now. And it usually thinks that. The first main objection I can see is quantity is worse than quality. You're wrong. You're just wrong. And I recognize that this is taste and opinion, so no one is truly wrong or right. It's just a matter of some people think X, some people think Y, but you're wrong. You're just wrong, actually. In this case, it's not opinion, you're just wrong. So CK3 is very often described as a highly polished puddle. There's not much depth to this game, not nearly as much as there was in CK2 at the end. The systems that do exist tend to be pretty good. The culture system and the religious system in CK3, light years ahead of CK2. They're really, really good systems, but there just aren't enough of them. You know how you fix that? With quantity, baby. You fix it with quantity. It's possible that some of those systems you don't like. Some of the systems I said they should bring over, you don't like. Fine. Game rule. Turn them on, turn them off. CK leads the industry on the ability to turn stuff on and off in terms of different mechanics within the game, in my humble opinion. Let them continue to do that. You don't like it? Fine. Turn it off. No worries. Lots of people do like them. Lots of people paid for them in CK2. So clearly there is a demand for these features. Clearly. They made Paradox bank. So there is obviously a demand for these features to exist, in my opinion. Maybe you don't want them to exist. Fine. Many of us do. Many of us were prepared to pay for them. Many of us would pay for them again. And many other of us would be happy to see them come back. The second objection I can see is Paradox can't afford it. It would be too expensive or something like that. Again, I don't read all of Paradox's financial statements. They do make a pretty hefty profit margin. Their operating costs are, not massive compared to their revenues. I'm not a financial expert. I can't read into all of that stuff. Fundamentally, I think Paradox has more money than their defenders, one of which is often me, will give on. I think they definitely could afford it. I don't know how much it would cost, so I shouldn't say that with such confidence, but it's what I happen to personally believe. Third objection I can see people saying is people would be angry that you, Paradox, were developing stuff that had already been done. We've seen that. We want you to develop new stuff. I think that's to a certain extent solved by the idea of do both. No one in the Stellaris community, that I know of anyway, is mad that there are two teams, one of whom is rehashing old Stellaris DLC to try and tweak it and bring it up to date, and one of whom is driving the game forwards with new stuff. No one, everyone pretty much agrees that's a great, great system. So this is just more of that. Fundamentally, this is just more of that. Any other objections? I don't know. I can't think of any others. Put them in the comments. Maybe I'll do a follow-up video if some of you come up with great points. I'm sure many of you will. Disagree, agree, whatever, please do let me know. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. There might be more CK3 content coming up. Certainly when Tours and Tournaments comes out, I might try and do some more stuff in CK3. It's a good game. It's genuinely a good game. And it breaks my heart that there are such good systems here, but there are some that are just missing. They just feel like they're missing. And that fundamentally is how I feel about CK3. It feels like it's missing things, and it doesn't need to. That's my claim. Agree, disagree. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.